Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, has shared new perspective on what he thinks is most likely regarding a time frame for the end of the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. And perhaps it's going to be as late as November, though I think he's optimistic it's going to be a little bit sooner than that. I'll share with you his specific words here. Now, this information in parts of the global XRP community has been circulating for days, but it really didn't start to circulating in where what I see on Twitter anyway, which is where the XRP community lives. I didn't see it until today, and everybody was sharing this video clip of him speaking about this today. The reason being, I think, is because he shared these comments in Dubai. He was on television in Dubai, and they had to transcribe what he was stating because, of course, in Dubai they speak Arabic. And so I think perhaps it may be the case that just Arabic XRP holders were aware of this day sooner, but it wasn't until today that we in the English-speaking parts of the world ended up seeing this clip widely circulated. So maybe some of you listening out there happen to know some days ago, but I think you'd be in the minority, and so good on you for finding out some information that's interesting sooner than later. But here we have a brand new article from today from the Crypto Basic titled "Ripple CEO Sheds Light on Lawsuit End Date in Dubai." But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Piece reads as follows. Garlinghouse has shared a new end date for the lawsuit against the Securities and Exchange Commission. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has made new predictions on when the SEC lawsuit will likely end. During the Dubai FinTech Summit held earlier this week, Garlinghouse said he expects the lawsuit to end within the next 2 to 6 months. According to Garlinghouse, the parties have fully briefed Judge Annalisa Torres, and she currently has the decision on her plate. Although Garlinghouse believes the judge might operate in whatever timeline she chooses, he expressed confidence that the ruling will come before the end of Q3 2023. Garlinghouse asserted that although the lawsuit has been frustrating and slow, the company is currently at the end of its journey, the legal battle against the SEC. And he ended up calling it the silver lining. And we've long talked about this, right? So when the SEC came after Ripple and effectively, as a result, attacked XRP holders on a global scale, certainly in the United States, that was awful. But we were in first. We were among the first holders of a cryptocurrency, certainly a major cryptocurrency, that ended up getting attacked by the vicious and deranged SEC. But as a result of that, we're also going to be among the first out. Now, in terms of, holders of a large cap coin with prominence on a global scale, you're talking about XRP, getting tech. This is the first. So you're talking about, by the time it's done, XRP potentially, if we get the ruling that we're expecting and hoping for, XRP potentially being the only large cap coin on the entire damn planet that has clarity from a legal perspective in the United States. Because even Bitcoin doesn't have that. Because the SEC will not come outright and just say, here's our official stance on it. Yes, Gary Gensler said what his personal opinion is, but we know that doesn't count for anything. Remember Billy Boy Hinman giving his opinion about Bitcoin and ETH on June 14th of 2018 with the Ethereum free pass speech? How much did that matter? Not at all is the answer. But here's Brad Garlinghouse's direct quote on this. He said, "The case against Ripple by the US SEC started 2.5 years ago. So it has certainly been frustrating and slow. But the good news is we are at the end of that journey. Others in the crypto in crypto might be beginning their journey, but Ripple is now at the end in its legal battle. I will say in the next 2 or 6 months, I expect a resolution." Think about that too. For everybody else that wasn't supportive over most of the last 2.5 years, I can't believe it's 2.5 years at this point. Like, they're just starting their pain in dealing with the SEC. And As an XRP holder, and with XRP being my largest crypto holding, I do feel a certain amount of relief, even though we haven't actually gotten the final ruling. But I'm very optimistic that in terms of secondary market transactions, of course, that's going to be allowed to exist in the United States. We got this judicial system that by and large works. I'm very optimistic it's going to work here for us XRP holders. So I have relief there, but there's so many other projects that are being attacked and yet to be attacked. And I'm always wondering, what other coins do I hold that Kim Jong-Ginzer is going to come after? So to some degree, I think I'm still going to have to keep putting up with this, but at least with my largest crypto holding, it'll just be over. I'm looking for that. And then the rest of Brad Garlinghouse's quote is as follows. The judge has been fully briefed, and she has a decision on her plate. A federal judge can operate on whatever timeline, in this case, she would like, but I am optimistic we can see a resolution, I believe, before the end of Q3 2023. So what he's stating there is, if it sounded like he was saying two conflicting things in terms of timeline, not actually. What he was saying is, he thinks in terms of what's reasonable to suspect is that in the next 2 to 6 months, we're going to see an outcome. So, you are talking potentially as late as November. But what he thinks is most probable is that as we said, he's optimistic, is that we'll see the outcome by the end of the third quarter, which would be the end of September. Still a long ways away. Do you remember at the beginning of this year, we're like, oh yeah, there's a really good chance, and it was fair to speculate along these lines, but a good chance we're going to have an outcome in March, or maybe April, maybe May. If we're really not being optimistic, maybe it'll be June. And here we are, and we're approaching the halfway point of May. And nothing, zip, zilch, nada, unfortunately. So if you're talking about the end of Q3, again, that's the end of September, of course. Well, what the hell? It's another 4 months, right? But you never know. See, that's the thing. You never know. And this is something that attorneys within our community have been actually speculating about recently. And I even talked about it in a video a bit. It's just a fact. We have... What's happening in terms of the timeline with Judge Torres is outside of the norm. She hasn't, outside of what would be normal for her, this is notably outside of how long it has taken her. In fact, the stretch end of how long we should have expected it to take her would have meant that the case would have ended on May 6th. So, and that would have been on the stretch end. So the fact that we're past this, attorneys within our community had been speculating that perhaps this is an indication that, however Judge Torres is going to rule, maybe there'll be a curveball to rule in some way that we couldn't have foreseen, but either way, they're speculating that this is not going to be a simple one side just wins as, based on the way that they wrote their summary judgment. So it's not going to be an outright Ripple win, and it's not going to be an outright SEC win. So then if that's the case, it just leads to an interesting conversation. What are we actually going to see? And I'm hoping that a part of this, and I'll speculate that part of this will be some sort of positive comments for XRP holders pertaining to secondary markets. But given the gravity of this situation, I think that she has no interest in rushing this. She is going to quadruple check everything that's written in the draft, and then she's going to quadruple check it again, and then quadruple check it again, and then quadruple check it again. This is going to have far-reaching ramifications, certainly in the United States and to some degree globally, because it's going to impact where people do business and start businesses in the world of crypto. But most heavily it'll hit the United States in that regard. But still, I think that she gets that, and that's part of why we're seeing what we're seeing here. So I'll be happy to patiently wait. It's fine. Yes, I want it over just as much as all of you listening, but we're going to get there. And I'd rather have it done right than done quickly. Because if it's not done right and it were done quickly, and if there's a hole in the argument or something were not worded quite right, it would just make it that much easier for the SEC to successfully appeal if they want to do so, if Ripple wins. So, and again, I'm not convinced that the SEC will appeal, but it's just, we don't know for sure. I know Attorney Jeremy Hogan doesn't think that the SEC would appeal because if you're talking about getting this thing to an appellate court because they need to appeal because they lost from, the district court level, well, then you're talking about having legal precedent Whereas on the district court level, it's not as binding. So if you're talking about appealing and then it's at the appellate court level, well, that's legal precedent on a nationwide scale. And if it doesn't go well for the SEC, then all their jurisdictional land grab dreams are over. So are they going to risk that? Well, Attorney Hogan doesn't think so. We'll see what happens, though, folks. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.